Hey guys, the Kamsh here. So today we're going to be talking about my personal version of Tempo Mage. Disclaimer, I don't think this is at all the best Tempo Mage list or the optimal one, but I do like this one. I think it's especially great for tournament play if you're going to be doing that, because it has a lot of good late game against control decks, but also if in Conquest, for example, they bring an all aggro deck lineup, which some people do sometimes to try to counter pick lineups sort of, then this deck does decently well against aggro decks as well. And that sort of fits great into ladder because you have a really good control matchup and also a good matchup against aggressive decks. So I'm going to go through some of the card choices here while we're playing what we are, and then we'll play some games for you guys on Legend Ladder. So to start off with, we have 1 Arcane Missiles, 1 Mirror Image. So people here usually choose between some of the 1 mana spells, Arcane Missiles, Mirror Image, and Arcane Blast, depending on how aggressive your list is. You might be playing multiples of each. You might be playing 1 Arcane Blast. We're just playing 1 of each because we want to fit room for some more of our late game. Usually it's enough to get value with Sorcerer's Apprentice and Flamewaker. And Arcane Blast we're not playing just because I feel like we need the extra slots for better removal, and it's more of a tech slot than it is, a necessary card. So Arcane Missiles deal some random damage. Usually want to cast it in conjunction with Flamewaker or Antonidas to get some value, but they have a lot of 1/1s or something like that, or they're an aggressive deck, it's fine to cast it earlier. Also cost 0 Sorcerer's Apprentice. Mirror Image, again, you want to cast with Flamewaker, Antonidas, something like that, or to protect something you have on board. So that's when you would be casting that. Thanks for playing 2 times Mana Worm. Pretty key creature in this deck. It's sort of like Zombie Chow except without the life drawback, and also if you cast more than 1 spell it gets a lot bigger. It can be a really aggressive creature, and you can start making in 2/3s, 4/3s. It works with coin, which is great. This deck really wants to be on coin for a lot of reasons, and then just works with all the spells you're playing in your deck. So pretty sweet card, pretty aggressive, and just a really good value minion. 1 of Flame Cannon, 2 can be clunky, but 1 is really good against some classes, especially like Druid, and just the 4 damage for 2 mana is really powerful. We have 2 Frostbolt, it can target, which is great. It stops our opponent from using weapons or attacking. It can stop bigger minions for a while, and then we can remove them later, something like Fireball. It's also a cheap spell to work with Flamewaker and Antonidas, and it can go face when we're being aggressive. And we have 2 Unstable Portal, which is a great card because it's really cost efficient. Usually unless you get a 2 or less mana cost minion, it'll basically net you 3 mana for 2 mana. It's a spell, so it works with all the spell synergies in the deck. You can make it cheaper with Sorcerer's Apprentice. It triggers things that spells trigger. And then of course you get access to some powerful minions from other classes, for example, if you have good RNG, and it should even out to a pretty good minion over the course of a lot of games. We have 2 Mad Scientists, and we're playing 2 Secrets, Counterspell, and Mirror Entity. Mad Scientist is really efficient, great, because it's a 2/2, can trade with things, and it gets us a secret, so it's 3 mana worth of cards for free. And then, of course, pulls a card out of your deck, so it's good card advantage as well. And, also, it thins your deck, which is relevant, because you don't want to be drawing your secrets as much as you just want to be getting them from Scientist. We have 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice, which reduces all the spells we're casting in the deck, which is pretty sweet. One thing to note, something pretty crazy, if you get a Echo of Medivh or a duplicate off of a Spellslinger, you'd have to get multiple duplicates though, and then or off Ethereal Conjurer, and you copy Sorcerer's Apprentice. It is possible, and I have for this deck before gotten 4 of them out with Antonidas at the same time, which makes all your fireballs cheaper. If you're looking for something fun to play, you can build a dedicated deck around that, but just note that there is that synergy. But in general, if you have like 2 of them out just naturally, then it makes all these spells free, which is really nice. Makes like Arcane Intellects cost 1, which is a really powerful effect. Playing 2 Arcane Intellects, we want to refill on our hand. Some people just play 1, but we are a little bit more like game oriented. We also have Sorks to make it cheaper, and we want to refill our hands so we can start going off with like Flamewaker. And some of our cards aren't actually worth a full card. Like these spells, unless we're getting insane value on them, usually aren't actually worth the card in terms of common card advantage sense. So being able to refill is quite nice. 2 Secrets for playing is 1 Counterspell, 1 Mirror Entity. Counterspell is nice because most people will play a bad minion when you play it to play on Mirror Entity, then it won't trigger. It also stops things like Force of Nature, lay on hands, sprint, that kind of thing. It's just a really powerful card. I think 1 Counterspell is definitely right now in Mage lists. We don't play more than 2 Secrets because that'd be a little bit clunky. So we're playing 1 Mirror Entity just because it can copy big things against the control classes, and even against aggro, it's not awful. We're not playing Effigy because there's not that many big minions, and we don't want to be copying like Mana Worms or the Taunts or some of the 2-drops. And we have 2 Flamewaker, sort of the key to the deck, works with all the spells, deals extra damage, it's really nice. Particularly good against aggressive classes because it kills off their board, but also fine against more controlling classes because it just gets the 2 extra damage per spell, which adds up really fast. You have 2 Spellslinger. It does give our opponent a spell, but the idea is that spells are more effective for us because we have Antonidas and Mana Worms and Flamemakers, so that's why we're doing that. It's also a 3/4 for 3, which is a solid body spider tank type thing. It's kind of like Mech Mage, play spider tank because it's a 3/4 with synergy. This is also a 3/4 with synergy for our deck. 2 times Fireball because it's a great burn spell, great removal spell, also a spell, so it triggers everything. 2 times Water Elemental, so here you can play 2 Water Elemental, 2 Shredder, or some split of the 2. I like 2 Water Elemental because there's a lot of weapon classes right now and it just has better stats initially, the 3/6, and also there's less RNG involved, and this deck has quite a bit of RNG already, so I like the more controlled result on Water Elemental versus getting a Shredder drop. Playing one Ethereal Conjurer because it can get us a lot of useful spells, it has a lot of utility, and it's also a solid minion if they can't actually clear it. Sometimes they might not be able to. Not playing any Azure Drakes because we have a lot of late game already. We have the 2 Arcane Intellects, and also we don't have the Arcane Blast. We benefit a little bit less from spell damage. Might be wrong, but this list we just don't like Azure Drake as much. Playing 1 Flame Strike because we want to be able to clear the board for utility. You know, some decks build up the board really fast, and we don't have a comeback mechanism unless we go off with Flamemakers. Playing 1 Archmage Antonidas because we want to just, you know, it's really works really well with our spells. Get some more fireballs, and then we win. Playing 1 Doctor Boom because it's super efficient and great, and then we're playing a Rag as a late game package, and because it can win you some games that you wouldn't be able to win otherwise. So this is the deck. Really the worst part about, you know, looking at so much late game building it this way is that we don't get to play Azure Drakes, which is one of the best cards in Tempo Mage, but I do like this version. I played it a lot on ladder, so we're going to play some games with it and see how it does.